What are some of the best choices you've made in your life? When I was in kindergarten, if you did stuff well and didn't get in trouble, you earned points that you could buy a reward with. I saved mine up for a long time to get a mini gumball machine, but when I finally went to get it, I made a split-second decision to buy a glass rose that was another one of the prizes because I was about to visit my grandma and I wanted to give her something. Now every time I visit my grandma for years, I get a little warm feeling seeing that rose sitting carefully in her living room above the fireplace. Losing weight. Skin got better, easier to find clothes, better social interactions, lesser judgmental comments. To piggyback on that, not getting winded running or climbing stairs, not feeling hot all the time, while being hotter all the time, pull-ups. Sitting on hard surfaces is uncomfortable now, though. I met this girl my first year in the Navy. She was Russian, and in the US on a work visa. She was studying English, and got to spend the summer in the US as a part of her university program. While she was here, she was working as a lifeguard for the apartment pool, and I was swimming every day till I could pass a swim qual for a Navy school I was going to. After a few days of flirting and conversation, I find out she lived in apartment 101, and I lived in 102 of the same building. She was the girl next door. She told me her dream was to get an American education, but unfortunately she would have to leave at the end of the summer. If you know anything about military pay, you get an extra allowance for housing if you're married. I married her so she could start her dream and I'd get paid more. We agreed that if it didn't work out, we would divorce when she got her green card. It was risky. I could go to jail and she could get deported and never be able to return. But I fell in love with her and she with me. This next August will be our 11-year anniversary and we have 2 kids. I can't imagine my life without her now. Sometimes the risk is worth it. Just plug your nose and jump. Edit. Okay, I've learned from you guys that the story about my Russian spy wife would make for a great movie and you're all crying. Thanks guys. I've literally read every comment and responded to a couple because you guys are rad. Also, Reddit gold. WTF, go donate to a charity. Quitting smoking. I smoked for 9 years and quit 2.5 months ago. One of my favorite things I can do now is run. As a smoker I could never run for more than 2 minutes without dying. Now I proudly have a 7-minute mile. I wish I could go back in time and undo all the damage smoking did to me, but all I can do is push forward from here and be glad I don't smoke. Screw cigarettes. Quitting my last job. I was burned out on it. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Every morning I woke up looking for reasons I could call out. Every night I tossed and turned, dreading the next day. I found myself hoping someone would hit me on the way to work, just to have a valid reason not to show up. Then due to safety issues I broke my foot at work. I was out 6 months recovering. When I came back to work, the burnout was worse, not better. So one day, I just quit. We did our morning huddle and stretches. The supervisor talked about how it was going to a busy day, and I just didn't care. I walked off, went to the outbound supervisor, turned in my badge, and straight up told him those job wasn't for me anymore. Despite not having another job lined up, despite wiping out my savings and maximuming out 3 credit cards to stay afloat while I was out recovering from my broken foot, I felt like I'd just fried a large weight. I smiled for the first time in months. Went and said goodbye to my coworkers, then went outside and waited on my ride. I'm much happier now. I found another job about a month later. I got my JED. I started paying attention to my relationship and saved it when my fiance planned on ending things. Now I'm applying to colleges to get a computer science degree and working on a book that has been bouncing in my head for decades. So yeah, best decision I ever made. Edit. To clear some things up, since this post blew up, I worked at a distribution warehouse similar to Amazon, but not Amazon. I didn't wipe out my savings in the month I was jobless. When I broke my foot, I was out of work for 6 months. Workers' comp was only paying me 60% of my salary. It covered most bills, but I still had to pull from savings and use my cards during that time to cover unexpected expenses and groceries. And these weren't high credit line cards. Each of them had like $300 on them. I had a rule: don't flirt if there is no possibility of a relationship. My thinking was, if this go badly, you're just embarrassing yourself, and if things go well, you're just setting up for disappointment. While at my college roommate's wedding, I broke that rule to flirt with the maid of honor, even though she lived 3 time zones away. Yeah, we are married now. That sounds wonderful. If you don't mind me asking, how did you guys defeat the 3 time zones thing? He set his clock back 3 hours. Long ago and far away, after agreeing with my partner that it would be best for us to terminate her unexpected pregnancy, I changed my mind and chose not to. That night I lay awake, wrestling with our decision and its implications, projecting the what ifs and the maybes into the future as far as I could. Finally, I realized 2 things with absolute certainty: that I loved my partner with all my heart, and that the plan we'd set our minds to before going to bed would slowly erode our relationship until it was no more. In the morning, when she woke up, I kissed her gently, told her that I loved her deeply, wanted to have the baby, and asked her to marry me. Here, decades later, having raised and loved the beautiful daughter that was that baby, it was, and remains, the single best choice I've ever made in my entire life. Moving 2,000 miles away by myself. I'm actively trying to do that, but 4,000 miles away from the East Coast to Prague. I just got accepted into a 3-year school there, and it's both exciting and terrifying. I'm looking into living expenses, healthcare, part-time employment, etc. It's almost overwhelming, but it's something I need to do. Edit after 7 hours. Reddit is f***ing amazing. This whole community is incredibly supportive and inspiring. I've had a particularly heavy day at work and saw some notifications here and there, but now that I'm getting a chance to read the replies and PMs, I'm in awe. Thanks Reddit. /r/humansbeenbrus for sure. Well, I'm heading back to college in the fall to study something different. I just beat cancer and have been feeling bored with the work I do lately, so I want to study something else and make a change. It's exciting and I'm feeling really positive lately. Deleting all my social media. I don't consider it social media. It's helped a lot with only concentrating my time on people who I care about/care about me. Also, you lose fear of missing out. Reddit is like a more useful Google. It helped me with job searches, career questions, helped me find new hobbies. Also, it seems like one of the last bastions where conversations can be had openly with relative anonymity, which allows people to discuss serious politics and personal issues without fear of social or authoritative persecution. One of the greatest and most powerful features of the internet that has been increasingly more difficult to maintain. While in a tumultuous relationship, I chose to not be jealous or resentful towards my partner or anyone else. The biggest thing was realizing that it truly was a choice. When I felt jealous, I previously took it personally, for no reason whatsoever, but felt so much more free, stable, and loving when I chose to not do that. It's carried over to a lot of other aspects of my life, and has truly helped me to judge and take situations for what they are, allowing me to feel loved a lot easier. It sounds super trivial, but keeping a diary, even if it's just to keep track of what you did that day, our memories can only store so much. Being in touch with your feelings and exactly how you live your life on a day-to-day basis makes a huge difference to your overall well-being. Writing something down not only makes you realize exactly how you feel, but it forces you to accept something rather than repress it, and that's the first step in tackling troubling thoughts. It's done wonders for my mental health and working out what my goals in life are. I quit drinking soda as a sophomore in high school. To make a long story short, it was an awkward and sad time in my life. I had a horrible diet and was very scrawny and pale. I would get home from school and just game and drink a ton of soda. I looked ill, and was bullied by my own friends that I would hang out with daily. They didn't believe I could give it up, but I did. My skin got clearer, my life got happier, and I began to excel in track. Now I'm fit and they're overweight. Funny how that works. There are a ton of details I'm leaving out, but I would never be who I'm today if I never gave it up. It was less of just soda and more of the bad habit/lifestyle that came with how much I consumed.